Hey friends, welcome to Living in His Purpose podcast, where we recognize that in God's purpose, He has the perfect spot for you. If you're a Christian woman and you're feeling overwhelmed and anxious by this rat race way of life and you're ready to find simplicity God's way, you're in the right spot. By replacing negative mindsets and habits with God's Word, we're going to give Holy Spirit permission to come in and help us walk bravely in this upside down world. These are not easy things to face, sweet friend. You're going to have to put on your big girl pants. So pull them up, grab a drink, and let's get going. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. So today's going to be a little bit of a different format. Earlier this month, I sat down with my coach and mentor and friend, Laura Malone, and we spent about an hour and a half talking about our takeaways from the conference that we went to back in July called She Speaks, which, if you're not familiar with that, it is a conference held by Lysa Terkeurst and her group through Proverbs 31 that it's geared for Christian women who are wanting to be leaders or speakers or writers. And it's a phenomenal weekend. If you're interested in that kind of stuff or feeling maybe God's leading you down that way and you don't know where to start, honestly, going to that conference is so enlightening. But anyway, we discussed what we got from there, which leads to, how when friends get together, we kind of talk about all sorts of things. And that's kind of how this conversation went. But today is the first part. It's going to be 3 parts. So today's the first part. And we kind of go into depth about these lessons that we learned. And we look at God's complete goodness. So these are just kind of snippets of things that we talked about in this episode. We talk about one of the authors that were there and how she presented how God is in our lives, even when it feels complete darkness, that to God there is no darkness. And the encouragement we get out of that. We talk about how really it is okay to be where you are, even when it's really tough. We discuss walking through hard times, learning to put God first, and the importance of keeping ourselves open-handed with Him. And then we go into what it looks like to have confidence, clarity, and certainty along our journey and kind of the ups and downs with that, and many, many more deep truths. And I am excited to share this with you. I think there's a lot of different avenues that we go down, and I'm sure that it's going to pique someone's interest. So I'm going to leave it there and ask you to join me and Laura.
Okay, so I just want to talk about the things that we heard and thought that sensed from the Lord at the She Speaks conference. And I think one of the most memorable parts was the one person that I saw everybody, I know got a standing ovation was Dr. Alicia Britt Cole.
Yes. Now she was the one that talked about, what was her
It was
topic?
the night season.
Yes, the night season. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
being off balance in the dark. But
Yes.
she said, which I thought was amazing, she said, God sees really well in the dark.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
like, we act like God's not going to be able to find us, but He has night vision.
That is one of the things that I have learned in so every so often in life, I feel like all of a sudden something that I've known for a long period of time finally sits hard. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, of course. And one of them is there is no dark to God. There is no night. Like He is light. He is light. So there is no darkness. And it takes one itty bitty little light to no longer call it complete darkness. So I don't know. There's something special about that to me, that when you think about that you're right, there is no darkness to God. It kind of relieves me and thinks, okay, so everything that's happening, God sees. He's there. So yes, she was a power. And I think what was most powerful about her speaking was she was so quiet. She made you listen to what she was saying.
Yeah, she's like a gentle spirit
Yes.
person who spoke in a still, solid voice that made everybody lean in. And all of the
Yes.
speakers were amazing, but she definitely has developed this gift. And coinciding with her personality
Yes.
of being able to speak from this place, especially it just goes well with her topic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
you
Yes.
we're not, it's just a place of the darkness, the night season. It's a
Yes.
place where there's, spiritual pain and
Yes.
discouragement and sadness and doubt. And like we, when we're feeling like we're stuck in those places,
Mhm.
nobody wants somebody to be come in all rainbows and butterflies and talk about it. That's annoying. Shut up.
Yes.
It's like, no, sit with me while the
Yeah.
house around me is burning down.
Yes. And I
Like,
bet
don't
that's
come in and try to pour
yeah.
water on me. I'm not
Yeah.
ready for water. I have heartache.
Yeah.
She
And I bet that resonated with you in what you do really well. Like because you've been literally in that moment where people don't have a house anymore and they don't really want you to say it's going to be okay. They don't want to hear that. So, and in my nursing career, I've seen the same thing. When a parent is losing a child, they don't want to hear it's going to be okay. And even like just the other day, I had a baby that was really sick and the parents just coming in tears, and preemies have a very up and down life and it's very difficult. And they don't want to hear it's going to be okay. So what they do want to hear is it's okay right where you are, and that's so empowering. And I think that even, to our talking to ourselves, we need to tell ourselves that, it's okay where you are. And I got that out of her message because I've been trying to convince myself of that in the last several months. It's okay where I am, because part of me is like, no, I should be having rainbows and unicorns. It should all be good. I've got these great big plans. Life should be great. And it's like, but it ain't. And then you feel that shame and guilt, and it's not necessary because it's okay right where you are. And I loved how she did that. And I love the stories that she pulled into it. She just did such a phenomenal job.
She did. And I mean, yeah, you're right about, in crisis response work, we see
Mhm.
people all of the time who are, everybody's lost something.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
something, they're broken. And I just tell everybody when I lead or teach or anything, I just say, do not say it's okay.
Hmm.
You're okay. It's going
Hmm.
to be okay.
Hmm.
It will be okay.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay is not fitting here.
No.
In fact, don't ask the question, are you
Are you
okay?
okay?
The
Yes.
very fact that you have to ask the question means that no, you already know they are not okay. So you
Yeah.
don't need to ask this question.
Yeah.
And to me, it
Yeah.
feels like the idea that you're going to be okay or you are okay,
Hmm.
you're just lying
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
save yourself the energy that it
Yeah.
requires to
Yeah.
come up with truth.
Right.
And because you don't know what to say to
Hmm.
somebody in the night season,
Hmm.
you're coming up with like the platitudes and the
Hmm.
cliches.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that. It is not helpful and it can
Hmm.
actually be really, really harmful. And I
Absolutely.
think all of her stories and just sharing, it is okay to be in the process. It's okay to not
Mhm.
be okay.
Right. Right. And
That's the only thing that's
that's
okay. Is that
okay.
it's okay to not be okay. Like,
Yeah. And I think that when all of the things that you go through in life, the lessons you need to learn through that, like it's really hard to walk someone through a real painful time if you've not been through a painful time. Um, but if you go through a painful time thinking it's not okay to be okay, I have to be bubbly even if I don't feel it, you're right. You're lying to yourself, and you don't really then take the ability to go to someone else who's in a bad place and saying, it's life sucks right now. But that's that's how it is. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it's hard for you. But I think taking our experiences, and that's what I really liked about her, was she took her whole experience with her mother passing away and kind of using it as a way to feed other people. I just thought it was beautiful the way that she did it.
and we all have a story. We all have something
Absolutely.
that we could pull from
Yeah.
and share with other people who need to hear it.
Yes.
And in my notes, um, she said, and perhaps my notes are paraphrased, so I won't say these are direct quotes, but what I pulled from what she said is that God breathes on the night time and that spiritual pain is the secret sauce to so much. I was like,
Yes.
Pain is a
Yes,
secret sauce because it really is. Pain is transformative.
it is. But that's
Depends
hard to
on which way
say.
you're going to go with it, but
Yeah.
it can be really transformative in a positive way.
Yes, yes. And that's, and that's one thing, just walking in my coaching journey that I think is so powerful in coaching is to be able to help people take the things that are going on in their lives and reframing it in a way that you can take the pain and make it work for you instead of against you. But honestly, I don't know how people without God do that. I don't know how they are able to reframe if they don't have the Lord in their lives. So we have to realize how powerful he is. And I think Christians, I know this is kind of a little bit of a sidetrack, but Christians they're very surface, they don't take their faith deep. And one thing I've got in here, one of my notes that I took was, hold on, where did it go? Faith grows deep in the dark. And it's true. And so I think as Christians, when we go through hard times, we just have to remember that there's a reason for that, and that you can make it a good reason. It doesn't have to be a bad reason. You don't have to, it doesn't have to break you. It can grow you.
Yeah, that's so good. I think one other thing that she said was we have no control situationally, but we can manage a relationship with our Father in the storm. So
Mhm.
while we can't control the storm, we can choose to who we're going to spend it with.
Yeah.
And
And I
so
like,
that's cool. Like,
yeah.
stop thinking about the storm and think about who you're going to sit out the storm with.
Yeah. And that's interesting because I've actually been thinking of that lately. And it's been, you hear you can't control your situation. You can control how you respond to the situation. But in my mind, the things I'm going through in my life right now, I'm like, I don't even know how to respond to the situation. Like, quit telling me I can do that because I don't know how to do that. But when she pulled it into not it's not what's going on, but who is there with you. And so that was even back at the beginning of the conference when Lysa was speaking, it was like I could just hear God just saying to me, praise, 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 praise where you are, praise where you were, praise where you're going, praise to the people around you, just praise no matter what's happening. And so you're right, just remembering that it's the God we have to hold on to, not necessarily how we're going to respond to these horrible things, but
Yeah.
just hold on to God. I mean, he's just and he's just so powerful. Like he can handle it all,
Yeah.
which we forget.
Yeah. Cause we start thinking it's all on us. And
Yes.
we can all do it. We can do it ourselves.
Yes. Because it's like, well, I'm supposed to respond. I can control how I'm responding. But if you can't center yourself on something first, you really can't control how you respond. You're responding, but it might not be helpful. It might not be serving you well.
So what else throughout the whole conference did you take away from it? What's that?
I think overall, so when I went to the conference, I just went with expectancy, with this openness that I wanted God to. I was, this sounds bad, but I was giving God permission to just pour into me whatever it is He wanted me to know, whatever it was, because I'm at a place kind of I, I'm I'm not really sure what I want to do with my life when I grow up, I'm still trying to figure things out. I know that he's got me on a path and I'm trusting that, which has been very difficult for me to trust. So I just asked him to just pour into me whatever and keep my mind open. So whatever I was listening to, every speaker I was listening wholeheartedly because I knew that God was speaking to me. And, like at the very beginning, Lysa was talking about praise. And I was like, okay, well, I may not know where I'm going or what I'm doing, but I can praise you that I can do that because that I can do that. And why would I not do that? And then when Grace Klein talked, she talked about the four seasons that we have through going when you're surrendered to God, things that happen. And when she's talking about what happens in the fall, winter, spring, and summer, kind of what that looks like in your life, it was very eye opening to me to realize that I can let go of things. There can be a new beginning. I can celebrate and reflect and just embracing God's perspective and remembering that no matter what it is I choose to do, that it has to be God first. It just has to be. And that, I don't remember who the other speaker was. It reminds me, she said, if you're trying to make your content and everything out to the people and you're letting the people dictate what's going on, you're just going to go in circles and just it's not going to serve you well. You're going to fall apart. You're not going to have the energy to maintain because you're not doing it the way that God wants it done. And there were several times that throughout where I wrote in my notes, it said, I just felt like I could hear God. I mean, like not audibly, but like in my head, I heard him say certain things to me that I was like, oh, I think that's a truth I'm supposed to know. Like he told me, like when I don't remember who this is talking. Oh, it was Alicia. It said something she said, I heard God say in my mind, I'm on the right track. So whatever road it is that I am on right now, I am on the right track. And that was comforting to me. So I'm like, okay, so I'm kind of getting it where God wants me to be. Um and oh, look, there's another day here. Somebody else is talking. It says, God says I'm on the right path, trying new things. It allows my hands to be open to him. And finding clarity and confidence in what it is that I'm trying to do, and being okay with the pivotal moments, which is a deep struggle for me because I feel like to be perfect, and I don't use the word perfect in my mind, I just use it, to be right, I have to have the path lined out. I have to know what's on the path and what I'm supposed to do on the path. And if that doesn't happen that way, then I have failed. And so the lesson in the last year of my life is it's okay to be on pivotal moments. It's okay to have different seasons, that some seasons you're more productive than others. And that's okay. It's okay to not be doing anything, but just being, because sometimes that's all the energy you have for. And that's, there's just so much I got out of it, but it was so fun to see. And I haven't done this my whole life. I haven't asked God to speak out loud to me, like tell me what it is, but I went to this place with that. And for him to just answer me was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I need to tell people they need to try this.
Oh, that's so good. So you just went kind of open-handed.
I did. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
received whatever he put in your hands.
Yeah, yeah. And I I am starting on this speaker track. That is the way that I was kind of timid about it at first going that way, but then after going through, so I said, God, if this is something that you want me to do, I need to, you need to talk a little bit louder to me because I'm not getting it fully. And then when I went to hear, I mean, I heard him say, God says, go and speak. And I'm like, oh, well, okay. So I don't really have that excuse anymore that I don't know if that's what God said because I wrote it down right here. God says, go and speak. So I had a moment with the Lord right there. And so now I know, now I don't have to let that fear, although it does, fear creep back up. Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to be a speaker. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But he told me that's what I need to do. So I have no idea what that's going to look like. I have no idea if it's going to be like a long-term thing for the rest of my life or if I'm even going to be good at it. I have no idea, but God said to go and do it. So it was lovely to leave that place having not a definite plan, but a piece that I was on the right track. So,
Yeah. Well, you were talking about, not looking to be perfect, but looking, to know the plan.
mhm.
And I mean, I would say that I myself, human,
Mhm.
but, speaking to clients, consistently want certainty.
Yes.
I think it's easy to get mixed up and think that we're perfectionists when actually we're looking for certainty, which
Yes.
is a natural human desire to be certain.
Yes.
And I know, like, not sure whether you've gone through it or not, but in the greenhouse course, we talk about the confidence cache, and cache as in CACHE,
Hmm.
like a collection of
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
And it's confidence is the willingness to show up and try.
Right.
And then you take the action that you're showing up and trying.
Hmm.
And then after that, you have clarity.
Hmm.
And you have clarity about like what worked, you have clarity
Right.
about what didn't work, and then you
Right.
can look and find out how you did it in hindsight. And you can actually see
Right.
the formula that you created by looking backwards instead of
Mhm.
forwards. And then that all culminates in like the emotion of feeling ready, which
Yeah.
is, I kind of define ready as I feel courageous, I feel competent,
Mhm.
feel certain.
Mhm.
Those things they loop that the loop of now that I feel more certain because I have courage and competent, which is like some level of like capability and
Right.
skill,
Right.
feel more certain and how it's after action taking that we get the clarity, the hindsight, and the certainty.
Right.
Feeling that we're certain. And I think it's normal that we go after that and um wanting the path to be laid out, like the
Mhm.
journey to be made clear. And if there's going to be a risk or a threat involved, we want to know what it is so we can
Mhm.
manage it and control it and kind of like control the crisis and the chaos ahead of time and
Mhm.
mitigate it. And it's like, if we did all of that, we would really cut out, you know, God's promise to be strong in our weakness. Like we
Right.
don't need his strength anymore if we can
Right.
control ourselves and always never be weak and we're always certain.
Right.
And it's like we just
Right.
have more confidence both in the Lord and in our willingness to show up and try. And,
Right.
you've been doing that.
Yeah.
Like we're both just showing up and
Mhm.
doing the next thing,
Yeah.
sometimes you just gotta go, I don't know what the next thing is, but I just
Yeah.
point my finger and spin this and
Yeah.
do that
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
And then you look at it and then you take the action and then you've got the clarity. Like this
Yeah.
worked or
Yeah.
that didn't work. Okay, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do that again. Like we
Yeah.
talked about earlier, I've wasted a lot of money and time and energy on things to build my business that now I'm protective and I want to help everybody else not waste that
Mm.
kind of stuff. But I didn't know it until I did
Sure.
something to learn it. Now
Right.
clarity. I'm like, how can I pass that clarity on? It's like using all of our wisdom and life experience, things
Mhm.
we've learned to pass it on to somebody else.
Mhm. Yeah. And one of the things that you know, hold on, there was a lot that went through my mind there in depth in a second. So hold on, let me piece it out. So I think though, when you talk about that, because I've heard you say this for 2 years now, just do something so you can decide, to go forward, to get some clarity. But for a lot of people, or maybe I should just speak for myself, we don't even know what to think to make ourselves do that first step. And so it's almost like you have to gain a little bit of courage to do that first step. And the courage comes from recognizing I might not do this right, and that's okay. And for a lot of people, in my personal world, I can't tell you how many people that will say I'm a perfectionist. And so a lot of times they won't even do something because they know they won't do it right. But it's that mindset work, which is, I just love this because it's so important in my mind, is to be able to get your mind set on what you're about to embark and not just like ready, set, go. Let's make this all cheery. This is going to be great, but more like, okay, there's going to be some realistic outcomes that I'm going to have to know are not going to be exactly what I was looking for. And I have to be okay with that. So there's almost like a mental pep talk you have to do with yourself before you even take that action. It's like, okay, well, what's going to happen if I don't do this? Well, and a lot of times what has made me go forward is realizing God has called me to do this. And if I don't do this, what am I going to tell him when I'm before the throne? Oh, well, I was afraid it wouldn't work. I mean, that's not acceptable. So I was like, okay, so now I have to work through my fears. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay. But it also helps when you surround yourself around with people who are going through the same thing. That has been extremely helpful to me. And to hear, unfortunately, I have to hear things over and over again. It's like, just do the next thing. What if it's not the right thing? Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do the next thing. And then, like all of the things that I have to say that might prevent me from doing it, having a coach tell me, this is normal. This is normal. And I think that helps me more than anything is this is normal to be afraid to do this. This is normal to not want to do this because it's very uncomfortable and we don't want to be uncomfortable, and recognizing that is normal before you even go out and try it is so helpful. I mean, it's still scary when you go try something new, but to know, and like you said, it's not that I failed. There is no failure. You've just learned a different way to not do it. And I have to
Right?
tell myself that when things go wrong, it's like, okay, well, that's not how I'm going to do it next time now, rather than, oh, woe is me. I'm a horrible person. Look at me. I made a bad choice and now my life is falling apart. It's like, no, now I know that's not the route I want to go. So let me try a different way.
It's all about your interpretation.
Yes.
It's like, are you going to interpret it as though you're like Thomas Edison and you just learned
Yeah. Yeah.
1,000 ways not to do it?
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
keep going and you're in confidence, just be willing to show up and try regardless of the outcome, regardless
Right.
of feeling failure or success. Like it just is.
Yes.
And it's
Yeah.
like, or are you going to interpret it as though it means that you are bad, you're wrong, you're
Right.
stupid,
Right.
shameful you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it does really require 7 cups as opposed to an ounce of some courage to do this
Yeah.
thing that needs to get done that you want
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
And courage is doing this thing. I
While
know
you're
we talk
scared.
about like what's the difference between courage and bravery. And
Yes.
courage is I'm going to do this thing,
Mhm.
even though there might be some pain or discomfort that I
Yeah.
rises up in
Right.
the face of. I might experience pain or whatever. But bravery is more like this matters so much to
Yeah.
me that I don't have any, I'm not doing this in the face of fear.
Mhm.
I don't feel fear and I don't feel like protective of saving myself. It's
Mhm.
like I'm going to run into the battle
Mhm.
because I'm it I would be more afraid to not run into
Right.
the battle than I am
Right.
to run into the battle. And the courage is like, I'm on the horse,
Yeah.
my sword. I don't want to go into this battle, but I'm
Yeah.
being intentionally.
Yes.
It's like I'm jumping, not falling. It's like intentional.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
falling is like not an intentional act,
Yes.
an
Yes.
accident. It's just like fell into it.
Uh,
But you jump on purpose, it gets you
yeah.
different results. And when you do that and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna jump into this. I'm gonna intentionally willingly like show up and try. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Mhm.
And then you, like you said, I agree, like it's just the human nature
Mhm.
to not always want to do the thing. It's your
Right.
brain wants to keep you comfy, safe, and easy.
Yes.
Like life. So we just keep pushing through. It's like if we're going to do something hard, let's do all the hard things.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
hard things.
Yeah.
Like
And
let's
it's
start living like we do hard things with
yes.
uncertainty. And we
Yes.
rise up and we take courage, like Joshua 1:9 says, to take
Mhm.
courage.
Mhm.
And, don't be afraid. Just let's go.
Right.
Let's
Right.
we'll agree with God.
Right. And I think though you can't do it unless you know that God is with you. I honestly don't think you can. And that's why I think most people don't do things is because they don't realize that God's right there and they don't go with him in it. They don't go with him in the battle. They're just like you know, hoping he shows up, not realizing he's already there.
Like Alicia said, he sees really well in the dark.
Right. Right. Exactly.
He is
Yeah.
there. He
Yeah.
doesn't need.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's my struggle lately has been though, how do you motivate yourself just to do something, just do something. And what I've come up with is maybe it's not a season to do something. Maybe it's a season to reflect. Maybe it's a season to just rest and to be okay with that. And I don't think in our society we do that very well at all. We don't rest at all. And so
and
we
that season might be only a week long.
it might
Be
be,
a month
or it
or
might be 6 months,
if
and that's
right.
okay.
But like the resistance to it,
Yes. Yeah.
it's so like our resistance to rest
Is
in
it's
today's
awful.
culture is it really is.
It is.
So it's like
Absolutely.
it's a discipline and a practice.
It is. And I think if you do it regularly, which this is something I'm experimenting with, like making myself do it regularly so that I don't run out of steam and have to take a longer period of time off. God only took 1 day off. He only needed 1 day, and he told us 1 day, take 1 day. Don't push yourself through all the days.
Right. And I think like that Sabbath thing is,
Mhm.
you know, regardless of when you can take a Sabbath day, what day of the month,
Yeah.
what day
Yeah.
of the week that is for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it really comes down to trusting God. That's what it's about.
It
Is
is. That,
trusting that
yes.
God will help you get everything done in 6 days.
Right. That needs to
Better
be
than if
done.
you've done it in 7
Mhm.
days by yourself.
Mhm. And it may be that what you think needs to be done isn't what really needs to be done, but trusting that process, that the calendar that God has set out before you is the right one, and it's okay. And and the speaker after speaker that weekend just kept saying the same thing. It's okay to be where you are. It's okay. And that is I feel like that's just such a message that the world needs to hear. And my heart is for Christian women. And I feel like they need to hear this. They need to stop listening to the voices that say, let me tell you how to organize in 4 days. Let me tell you how to get your life together in 1 week. Let me give you a 30-day plan to lose 30 pounds. We need to stop that, and we need to be okay right where we are. And then God can use you. If you've got your mind so preoccupied with all of the stuff you're supposed to be doing, He can't use you right where you are. And that's hard. That's really hard. And I think Christian women need to hear that. It's okay right where you are. And the things that you've been through, it's okay. It's all right that you've been through that, because someone else needs to hear what you've been through. And that's how we get through life. And yeah.
Yeah. I think there's a song out currently that talks about it's okay that you're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's okay that I feel the way I do. It's
Yeah.
okay that I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
rainbows, flies, and unicorns. And I don't know the name of it. I'll try to find it and put a link
Okay.
in the show notes.
Well, that's it for today. Thank you so much for being here with me, and I'm hoping that you received a word. Let me close with a passage of scripture. Rejoice in your confident hope, be patient in trouble, and keep on praying. By doing this, sweet friend, you're going to find that you can take those thoughts captive and change that mindset and be anxious for nothing. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.